Good afternoon, everyone. Sam Guy. I want to welcome you to Rooftops. We're going to hit part 2 of some issues regarding these 8 people who don't like what I say and do. And if the truth hurts, so be it. And I don't like what they say and do because they're voting, in a sense, trying to keep somebody from expressing themselves pursuant to the First Amendment. And you can't do that in America. Even elected officials don't lose their First Amendment rights. So I'm going to do a quick recap of this morning show. Then I'm going to hit a couple of new issues before we get to the 9 o'clock grand finale tonight. So the first thing I want to remind you is that there were some young children who gave a presentation at a city council committee meeting. And they had an opportunity to use all this equipment with people who knew what they were doing, and they could have written a song about anything they wanted to write a song about, and they ended up writing a song about the topic, Don't Judge Me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to a quick 4-minute video. In this 4-minute video, here's what you're going to hear. Hanifa Shabazz accused me of making a statement, and whatever the statement is that she accused me of, she only used a snippet of that statement in her accusation. She didn't play the whole statement. So I'm going to let you hear my entire statement, and you decide for yourself whether you hear me say anything that I can't say in America. So let's go to that quick snippet to get that issue off the table and let you kind of get a sense on your own what Sam Guy said about the children's performance.
I want to say I want to commend you on what's taking place. That's the
Thank
first
you.
thing. And I've been a teacher, and I know for a fact that students embrace the arts in connection with learning. And I see, as I listen, there's an educational component, and there's also an expression component, and there's other components. What strikes me is that, you know, as much as people talk about the content of hip-hop, there's a wide range of content, and there was nothing in their content that was out of context or inappropriate. And it is important to notice what they chose as their subject matter. Don't judge me. Now, I'm 53 years old, and my parents grew up right here in Delaware, and they were subject to every form of racism that exists. And they were civil rights fighters. And Martin Luther King and others gave their life, and people here fought for my generation not to have to say, don't judge me, Black Lives Matter, justice, right? Well, my generation has been subject to that foolishness. And what hurts me, I've been the head of the NAACP here in Delaware for 4 years and the regional chair for this whole Northeast region. And what hurts me is that these kids, out of all the subject matters that they could have chosen, the foot on their neck, as Julian says, is don't judge me. Because as young as they are, they know that it's not a fair game because of the racism. And that shouldn't be something that they're still being subject to. I've gone to college, obtained 6 or some degrees, and I'm on a city council where don't judge me even applies to me. I have some white colleagues that's against me breathing air because a black man ain't supposed to know nothing or be able to do nothing. But there's also black people that put their necks put their foot on black people's necks. And that's part of Don't Judge Me. So it's a doggone shame that in a city of Wilmington, that those kids feel that way, but they're telling the truth. But everybody wants to ignore the truth and not address that issue. So if you talk about race, right, which they're talking about, there's a bunch of people who want to censor them. Don't talk about that. We don't want to deal with that. Why are you starting up trouble? The reason why race has to be discussed is because at that age, they're expressing the foot on their neck. And we need to stop being fake out people in the older ages. Because if we keep being fake out people, not addressing it, then their children are going to be singing the same doggone song. So when is it going to stop? I thank those children. I'm going to probably play their video on my television show. Mm-hmm. But they shouldn't even have to have that fault. And it's our fault as the older people for allowing this foolishness.
Okay, so as a quick recap, you're at home, you can vote for yourself. Did Sam Guy say anything that he has no business saying? I would take the position that Sam Guy said what he ought to be saying. But see, Sam Guy's not a sellout, so I'm free to say what I said. And there's nothing to take back, and there's nothing for anybody to have a problem with what I said. They can disagree. They can have another point of view. But what I would like to know is this. I would love to have those kids that made the song Don't Judge Me, I'd love for them to be sitting right here on the couch and for them to hear what I said themselves. And I'd be interested in hearing what they had to say, because I think that they would look at it like, wow, they're glad that there's somebody that's an older person that cares about the problems that they're facing. That's what I think. So that's a quick summary of one of the issues. Now, I'm going to show you in writing what Hanifa accused me of, given what you heard. So on the screen, can you zoom in on that second section on the poster board so you all can see how manipulative she is? Slide, yeah, there it is right there. See where it says March the 8th? It says, I have gone to college and obtained some 6 or some degrees. I am on city council where Don't Judge Me even applies to me. I have some white colleagues against me breathing air because a black man ain't supposed to know nothing or be able to do nothing. Now, she took that excerpt out of that whole thing that I said and presented that to all of the members of council, okay? Those members of council weren't at that committee meeting. There was only about 3 people sitting up there at that committee meeting, 3 or 4 at best. So she took an excerpt that's dishonest. It's not even allowed normally when due process is involved. The same kind of mess that's been going on for years. So that's a quick summary of how Hanifa Shabazz operates. Sam Guy didn't say anything that he doesn't have a right to say under the First Amendment. The next thing I'm going to do is go down to the chart at the bottom. Again, this is a quick summary. I could give you the long version, but we did that this morning. That'll be posted later on either Facebook or YouTube. See this chart right here? Again, quick summary. In the yellow, there's an at-large councilman that had $6,500 that they left. The second column, the one in dark black, there's a councilman who had no money left when they left city council at large. The 250 is what the third at-large council person had when they left city council. Stay right on this screen. The column in between is Loretta Walsh. She received $10,000 on July 1st last year. She only used about 1,350. She has 8,650 left as of January the 4th. And she just got to keep her money because it was hers in the first place. But the 6,500 were in the yellow line, the 0 and the 250, those are the amounts of money that the 3 at-large council members left. If you add that up, it's $6,750. That $6,750 should have been split evenly between the 3 new at-large council members. So Rashima Dixon should have received $2,250, Sam Guy the same, Cyril Adams the same. But Hanifa Shabazz, in her slick way of operating, gave Rashima Dixon, who's part of their team, their political team with the Pacini polling money, okay? Go look at the campaign finance reports, part of the Przicki team. So she thinks that she's going to be slick and give her $6,500, give me no money, and give Adams $250. But the way they did it is they wrote us separate letters so that we wouldn't know what each other received back on January 24th. But my mom and dad didn't raise a fool. Something about that didn't seem honest to me. I'm going to be frank, because normally charts like this, Excel charts, you just send the whole chart to everybody. So when a person starts to separate out the information, that lets me know that something is probably being hidden. So for 2 months, I fought and fought and fought to get this chart. They give me the chart, and I realize that my portion of the money and almost all of Cyril's portion was given to Rashima Dixon. The 6,500 went to Dixon, 0 for Guy, 250 for Adams. There's something wrong with that. This is a quick summary. The long version will be posted later on. Nobody in America could disagree that there's something wrong with that, because the 3 of us are in equal positions, the same status. There's no reason for one person to get more than the other, except people playing favoritism, okay? Now, Rashima Dixon, since we got communicated to individually, theoretically, she may not have known what happened. So let's just, for a second, theoretically say she did not know. Well, once I got this chart, distributed it to all members of council, Trippy Congo sent an email and asked, would somebody explain the disparity once I raised the disparity? Nobody to this day ever answered Trippy Congo's email. That's Rashima Dixon, that's Hanifa Shabazz, that's Michelle Bass Knight, the staff person who deals with the finances, nor Bud Free of the finance chair, because they never intended for this to be learned by me. Once Rashima Dixon knew about this, and I don't care how you feel about this, because you all know what's right and y'all know what's wrong. Once Rashima Dixon learned that she has received a portion of money that Cyril Adams and Sam Guy should receive, then at that point in time, she would step up and say, hey, this ain't right. Let me get this money off of my account. Now, that's what you all would teach your son or daughter to do. When she didn't know, it ain't her fault. Once she knew, then that means she was a willing participant. Hanifa Shabazz and Marshall Bass Knight, her finance person, and Friel, they're the ones in the beginning who are responsible for how this money's distributed. And they thought they could get away with something. Quick summary, You all know what's right and you know what's wrong. I have multiple letters and all kind of things from people wanting financial assistance, and I'm not able to provide anybody any help because we got this kind of cheating going on. Y'all know it's wrong, but if Hanifa or Rashima are your friends, you're going to tell them that's okay, Sam Guy's wrong. You all know conceptually that there's people out in this community that know you can't do that. There's people who in the criminal justice system, right, got arrested. This is in the legislative system. This money belongs to the council people equally. Let me move to the top point, new point, after that summary. So if you could go to the top of the screen of the poster board, and I'm going to try to hit two more issues real quick before we go to the 9 o'clock tonight. Okay, at the very top, they have a statement where Hanifa says to the council people, he doesn't have any business saying, quote, so I don't appreciate the theft, and now to go around the corner and put it back to the way we had it, it is really funny. So I support the amendment, but I'm not stupid. Now that's a quote from what I said, but it's not everything that I said, and it's not even in any context for you to understand. All of you lived through Hanifa being real slick and slipping in, taking away prayer from Wilmington City Council. She did that. She slipped that in on everybody. Then when she got caught, I knew what to do. So what did I do? I made an announcement on the city council floor that I was going to introduce a resolution to put prayer back, and I asked, did anybody want to be a co-sponsor? Several people decided they wanted to be co-sponsors. Now, what do I mean when I say I don't appreciate the theft? Everybody in the state of Delaware knew that my resolution was drafted, ready to be put on agenda. She stole my legislation and put her name on it and added some other people's name and introduced it, trying to say that she wants to bring back universal prayer. In other words, when people are against something, they try to introduce the legislation, but I was already ahead of that. But she took it anyway. That's legislative theft is what it's called. Then what she ended up having to do was amend it to what I said, which is why I said to go around the corner and put it back the way that we had it, because I had to sue them to get the prayer resolution back on the agenda. To get it on the agenda, I had to file a suit. Then she rushed and put her version on. Then they had to amend her version because universalism is a religion. So she was actually not in tune with the law. I had researched the law. That's why I put prayer back. So they had to amend it to put it back. So my point is, on the floor of council, that's really funny. So I supported the amendment to get rid of universal and to put it back to what me and the other 4 or 5 council people had put in the first place. So yeah, I'm not stupid. I saw your game. I saw what you tried to do. That's the kind of mess that she does on city council. The last one, the third one on the bottom, third one from the top, excuse me, is going to be the closing point for this session. You can read, let's start in the middle. I introduced a piece of legislation to give neighborhood planning councils more information about what's happening in their community. Pacini, Poland, and Mike Przicki, soon as they see it, they in the article in the newspaper saying, we're against that, that's a problem. So then I go to the committee meeting, and I got Hanifa Shabazz quoting them almost like a parakeet. And my comment back to her is, it's not your, after it's my turn to talk, I said it is your responsibility to maintain fairness and justice too. You can't just speak for Pacini, Poland. because she was repeating basically for them what they were crying about, Pacini Poland and the mayor. See, there's a fight, and I'm on the side of the people, and I want the people to know more about what's happening in their neighborhood. She's on the side of Pacini Poland and the mayor, and they don't want people to know about more in their neighborhood. So we'll wrap up tonight at 9 o'clock, but this is the kind of games that go on in Wilmington City Council. So they're all censored for voting for some foolishness like this. I'll see you at 9 o'clock for the wrap up.